Direct D Punk's boyfriend Denver Metro audits. Christopher Direct D Ruff pulled an epic troll on good friend Christopher. Denver Metro audits Cordova after boyfriend. Cordova complained that he wasn't getting the antibiotics he needed to treat a root canal. Ruff played portions of a phone call he had with Cordova before the broadcast, where Cordova complained loudly about not receiving his antibiotics for the first half of a root canal or his Adderall prescription. While he admitted the jail wouldn't give him the Adderall, he was concerned about the status of the antibiotic treatment as he was scheduled for the second half of the root canal immediately after getting out of jail. Ruff mischievously called the jail on air, and after over an hour of attempting to get through, pretended to be Cordova's boyfriend, went on with dispatch. After several transfers, with Ruff repeating the boyfriend story, Ruff was connected to the medical unit at the jail. The YouTuber told the nurse on the line that Cordova was suffering from an embarrassing infection that he needed immediate treatment for. The nurse explained that she couldn't talk about Cordova's conditions without Cordova signing a release of information form. She said she'd fill out a release of information form for Cordova to sign. Asking Ruff for his name, Ruff claimed he was Bao Johnson. The nurse assured Ruff that she'd get to Cordova immediately and have him sign the form, and Ruff could follow up later by calling her directly. There's been no word as of press time if Ruff was successful in obtaining medication for boyfriend Cordova. Cordova's continued plight saw a minor surge in the GoFundMe market as he tied our own ongoing expenses campaign with a $10 donation for Saturday. Long Island Audits topped both with a $25 donation to his Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption campaign, but was topped by Craig Hendry's To Support Craig's Work campaign with a $100 donation that took the win for the day. The market roaring, at least briefly, back to life upon continued coverage of the incarcerated YouTubers. We still need your help. Despite the GoFundMe market being dead, this publication is funded by your donations along with what little we make from our YouTube channel per month. While we did achieve full monetization on YouTube, we still need help to get through monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and the newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All donations literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos, like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in. Glenn Serio challenge to sweep leg of Touche. Longtime Discord user Touche has reminded activist and First Amendment auditor Glenn Serio that she has accepted his challenge to sweep her leg despite Serio's lack of acknowledgement of her acceptance. The pair have regularly encountered each other in person at Serio's court hearings, as Touche is a longtime supporter of Tella Klein. Touche was a witness to Serio's recent attempt to have Klein arrested by falsely accusing her of brandishing a weapon and confronting him after Serio's loss to Klein last week in small claims court. Serio has been known for making a challenge to male police officers and emergency responders to sweep their legs while at the scene of various police incidents. Most recently, at the scene of a car crash, Serio threatened emergency workers that his kicks could break kneecaps with ease due to years of wrestling and football experience. After being ignored by Serio for quite some time, Touche recently sweetened the deal by reportedly offering $1,000 in cash to Serio should he successfully sweep her leg. Serio has not responded to the challenge. Touche further encouraged Serio to accept her challenge by stating that Serio can have the $1,000 in cash should he sweep her leg after his upcoming December 3, 2024, court hearing. She indicated she'll be at the event and will be willing to give Serio a chance to earn the money. The Discord user noted that she's several years older than Serio, and anyone with any skill should be able to easily sweep her off her feet with a leg sweep. However, she noted that in Serio's current decrepit state, he seems to have difficulty walking, let alone attempting mortal combat with a declared enemy. With a little more than a month before Serio's next court date, it is now up to the YouTuber and activist to accept the challenge. We will provide updates should Serio release a statement on the challenge.
Delete Law's rampages after Direct D accusations. Saturday provided to be an interesting day in the life of Jose Chili de Castro as he was humiliated on Christopher Direct D. Ruff's multi-hour livestream before attempting to take over Clash with Bao's livestream, then doing 3.5 hours on his own YouTube livestream before receiving a copyright warning that briefly took his stream down. De Castro's day started as Ruff accused De Castro of being a GHB dealer who turned into an informant during one of Ruff's extended afternoon live streams. Ruff also said that he would be printing his own First Amendment auditor t-shirts and would be actively challenging De Castro's attempt to trademark the term. De Castro objected to Ruff's accusations and eventually accepted an invitation to come up on panel with Ruff. Once on panel, the YouTuber attempted to refute Ruff's story that De Castro had sent underlings to contact him for a meeting sometime in the past when De Castro had visited Arizona. Turning to his usual defensive line, De Castro claimed that he never wronged anyone and demanded Ruff provide evidence of any wrongdoing or receipts of illegal activity by De Castro. Ruff snorted at De Castro and essentially told the YouTuber that he would never present his evidence directly to his opponent and that he would be producing a video on De Castro soon. De Castro became upset when Ruff refused to put De Castro's face on screen, demanding to be able to look Ruff in the eye when they were talking. Eventually, Ruff acquiesced and put up a highly distorted version of De Castro's video feed on screen. The pair sparred briefly before De Castro, fed up with his treatment, rage quit the livestream. De Castro immediately went over to Clash with Bao's live stream, where he accepted an invitation to join the panel. The YouTuber was clearly angry from his encounter with Ruff and again denied all the claims made by Ruff. Bao attempted to temper De Castro's rage but was ineffective in controlling his guest, who went into his usual promotional material instead of interacting with Bao. Some of the highlights of De Castro's revelations on his one-sided nearly 1-hour-long self-interview. De Castro now has a social life with a lady friend, which takes him away from his focus on constitutional law scholar. The initial run of the Constitutional Law Scholar board game will be limited to 1,000 copies. De Castro and his brother used to play in the snow pretending to be WWF wrestlers in the 80s and 90s and would attack each other regularly, which inspired his need to go into amateur wrestling. G-Bus Crisp, Sarah and Tim lied about him being in his underwear around their 19-year-old daughter. While he is currently friendly with them, he is unsure why they turned on him and made false accusations. He has sworn off staying with victims when he does his advocacy after the experience with G-Bus Crisp and with a crazy lady from Missouri. There will be a court hearing on his trademarking of First Amendment auditor in January. He has pledged that he wants the trademark to protect himself but will never enforce the trademark. Everyone will be free to use it. When he visited Ironton in 2022, people would run alongside his car and he was mobbed by hundreds of people wherever he went. He does not have a photographic memory, despite previous claims. His move to TeamDLZ.com is inspired by YouTube's recent crackdown on his livestream. While he only has half a dozen participants in his private chat now, in the next few days and weeks it'll increase to hundreds and then thousands of users. De Castro wrote a 400-page book while in jail, no idea when it will be published. He will pass the bar in California by taking online courses. After wrapping up with Bao, De Castro went onto his own live stream where he replayed a good portion of his Bao appearance. De Castro's show was relatively uneventful until De Castro played a 9-year-old video and was almost immediately hit with a copyright flag and the stream was briefly halted on YouTube. Unaware that he was off the air for an extended period until his fans told him the news, De Castro checked his email and said that he received a content strike from YouTube. De Castro warned his users that the copyright notice was another sign that YouTube was plotting to take his channel down. While he was still planning on launching his First Amendment Auditor channel, he urged his fans to sign up for his Team DLZ paid website immediately in case YouTube takes him off the air.
Benson rages as Englewood bans recording. YouTuber Regan Benson raged on a live stream for nearly 2 hours Saturday afternoon after reading a new sign posted on the doors of the Englewood, Colorado, Civic Center that essentially bans recording without permission in city buildings. The new guidelines, signed by Englewood City Manager Sean Lewis, essentially ban all video recording within 8 feet of the entrance to any building owned by the City of Englewood. It also bans recording of others inside the buildings without the consent of everyone who is being recorded. Benson fumed as she read that the guidelines apply to both the Englewood City Hall, the Pirate Cove Recreational Center, and the Englewood Police Station. Exceptions to the rules come within public meetings, still photography, recording of city law enforcement or public safety officers, security cameras, in areas rented out by a private party, or where recording is not prohibited by a court order. Promising federal court challenges, Benson seemed almost giddy as she lingered on the 3 posted pages on the door to the Englewood Public Library. Focusing briefly on the section of the directive telling employees to be courteous and professional while dealing with someone recording in violation of the guidelines. According to the printed instructions, employees are to escalate to a superior if filming continues, and to only escalate to the police should illegal activity or a safety concern occur in their presence. Recording constitutes a Level 1 violation of Englewood's policy guidelines and may result in an exclusion or ejection from the building. Benson pointed out that under the new guidelines, which take effect on Monday, October 28, 2024, Allied security guards will now be used as enforcers and will be forced to eject those who are recording in violation of the guidelines. While police and public workers can still be recorded within buildings owned by the city, Benson questioned the constitutionality of the posted guidelines and again promised to challenge the guidelines with a federal lawsuit. While driving over to the Englewood Police Department, Benson updated the status of Zeph Pinkerley, who was arrested at last week's Englewood City Council meeting. Benson claimed that Pinkerley was again arrested at the Englewood Police Department on Friday when he arrived early in the morning to check on a problem with an expired tag on his car. Pinkerley said that he was in a hurry when he contacted dispatch over the phone set up in the lobby of the building. There was a delay as no officers were available to help him immediately, and, according to Benson's account of the events, Pinkerley was arrested after making 2 more calls to dispatch from the phone. Pinkerley was apparently charged with harassment and has received a 120-day exclusion notice from the Englewood Police Department. Benson noted that Pinkerley was working full-time and was on the verge of homelessness, and that his boss bailed him out after he was taken into custody. The directive indicated that Englewood respect the First Amendment, but has to make the changes based on those who are abusing the First Amendment in order to make a profit. Katie Kidman attacks Scientology during audit. YouTuber Katie Kidman made a number of questionable remarks while auditing the area outside of the Scientology building on L. Ron Hubbard Way in Los Angeles in a recent video. Kidman, who revealed that her twin sister is a Scientologist, claimed that the church wasn't a real religion and was just a money-making operation during the live stream. She also expressed her feelings that it couldn't be a real church if it did not provide church services on Sunday. The YouTuber started her most recent video outside of a Scientology building in Los Angeles, showing off her Betty Buttcrack press credentials from the fictional Buttcrack News Network. As she walked to the building, she confused a woman who was working on her garden by asking if the woman was a Scientologist before ambling across the street to begin her tour of the outside of the Scientology complex. Kidman saw a man who walked from a closed area on L. Ron Hubbard Way and asked the man if he was a Scientologist. He said he wasn't and said that the street was open for anyone to walk through, despite barriers blocking cars from entering the street. She then walked into the area and said she was looking for Scientologists. Coming across an outside area of a cafe, Kidman left the sidewalk and entered the property. She walked towards the door, stopping to ask a turtle in a pond display if he was a Scientologist, before a security guard asked what she was doing. The guard explained that the street was closed, but the sidewalk was open and that they asked her to stay off their private property as she walked by. Kidman, directing the security guard in a direction away from her car as they walked together while going into a long and rambling story about her activities in the past with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. According to Kidman, she was working on a movie with Cruise and his then-wife Nicole Kidman. At some point, Cruise met with the YouTuber privately and canceled her contract. At that point, she demanded that Cruise bring her a present of something personal to him the next time they met. She said she never saw Cruise again after that. She asked the guard to ask Cruise about it the next time the guard encountered Cruise. Kidman and the security guard walked to the end of the street when Kidman told the security guard they'd have to walk back because her car was parked at a spot in the other direction. As they walked, she established some of the problems her sister was having with her as they differed in their religious beliefs. After reaching the end of the street, Kidman continued her walk around the area, criticizing Scientology as not a real church and taking offense at the Scientology symbol using a cross in its design. Kidman declared that Scientology was a business and an implied money drain on its followers and not a religion before ending her production. In the past, Kidman has described ongoing problems with her newly revealed twin sister over her sister's belief in Scientology. While not confirmed as a suppressive person under church doctrine, Kidman has described her sister disconnecting from Kidman's continued negativity over her sister's beliefs. Scientology was given tax-exempt status as a religion in the United States in 1993. While controversial and not recognized in all countries as a religion, in the United States, it has earned the same rights and status as more mainstream religions. Reagan Benson releases new attack on Sean Lewis. YouTuber and activist for the homeless Reagan Benson released a statement attacking Englewood, Colorado, city manager Sean Lewis on her YouTube community page over the weekend, following Lewis' recent issuing of a directive banning filming within the confines of properties owned by the city. Benson wrote, "By the powers vested in me, I, Sean Lewis, city manager of Englewood, Colorado, do so declare that I am tiny dictator of all people. Devin Cranberry, Sheridan, Colorado, teeny tiny city manager. And I sword fight often on the issue, and I'm getting really tired of not feeling important in the auspices of dictatorshipness. I run this clown show over here. Not really. The librarians tell me what to do because they can kick my ass. As the opening act for the boy band known as Othniel, the mayor, and his boy band followers the hashtag Steve and Joe Show, along with the groupie bimbos that bop along, Chelsea and Tenna. I solemnly do declare October 28th, 2024 at 8 a.m. my day, so that it becomes known to the public that I hate the First Amendment, and in doing so I have this to offer after I had it written by a third grader pretending to play attorney. The city of Englewood respects and protects the First Amendment rights of the public, while ensuring safe public areas free of harassment. This provides an employee guide to city policies regarding recording and interacting with those purporting to protect First Amendment rights for their own financial gain. No one may video record without the consent of all persons whose voice or image is recorded, within 8 feet of entrances or inside the Englewood Civic Center, Pirates Cove, or other buildings owned and operated by the city of Englewood, collectively city buildings. In my previous job as a wannabe city manager, they loved me. Over here in Englewood, I just got a raise. I make $240,000 a year to run all 3 rings at once simultaneously. Look at Reagan here making fun of me. I don't know what her problem is. I can't help it if I don't have a clue about anything. Pretend to be utilizing taxpayer dollars to assist in emergency management weather situations for the homeless. And so what if the cops are committing civil rights violations left and right? It's high time I join them. She's such a menace. I agree with Bethany. We need to find more ways to arrest her, while respecting her First Amendment rights. Here's the laws that I'm going to have people arrested for if my orders for protecting the First Amendment are not followed. Please don't laugh at me, but at this point I'm just flinging my doo-doo to the wall to see what I can get to stick. 18-9-110-3, Public Buildings, Trespass Interference. No person shall willfully refuse or fail to leave any such public building upon being requested to do so by the Chief Administrative Officer or his designee charged with maintaining order in such public building. If the person is committing, threatens to commit, or incites others to commit any act which did, or would have completed, disrupt, impair, interfere with, or obstruct the lawful missions, processes, procedures, or functions being carried on in the public building. 18-4-504. Third-degree criminal trespass. 1. A person commits the crime of third-degree criminal trespass if such person unlawfully enters or remains in or upon premises of another. 2. Third-degree criminal trespass is a petty offense, but A. Repealed. B. It is a Class 5 felony if the person trespasses on premises classified as agricultural land with the intent to commit a felony thereon. except that it is a Class 6 felony if the agricultural land did not have a fence securing the perimeter. If you want to meet my other boy band members / groupie gals, check them out here. Last, but most importantly least, check me out here. I'm a fine specimen of doing my job. If you want to email me and tell me how perfect I am, here you go, slewis@inglewoodco.gov. You should also know, I'm not going to tolerate things that feel harassing to me or my friends, and I will order my cops to investigate you. You better start taking me serious and respecting my authority. Oh yeah. P.S. I'm a super kind of pissed off nobody is taking my standards of behavior serious in this kangaroo appeal process. But I'll talk to you more about that later. I need to go figure out how I'm going to offer a bribe to seal my deal that I demand Reagan Benson and others be banned from city council chambers and my civic center. Lewis has yet to make public comment in response to Benson's statement. The angry vet critiques 1A auditing community. Fans were surprised by an unusual look at both sides of the First Amendment auditing community on Monday, as controversial YouTuber The Angry Vet spoke out about things he was concerned about in the community while targeting such YouTubers as Jose Chili DeCastro, Direct D, and Fraud Wrangler. The YouTuber started by saying that he was tired of members of DeCastro's cult attacking him in the side chat of his own shows. He called out cult members, Let's OTVO, and Rights On for alleged attacks in his side chat, while they were promoting the principles and guidelines established by DeCastro. Calling out both Let's OTVO and Rights On for their claims that DeCastro has raised $30,000 and $62,000 for various people he's reportedly helped, the angry vet demanded to see proof that the money that DeCastro had raised actually went to where he said it did. DeCastro recently mysteriously shut down his 4 active GoFundMe accounts after questions were raised about the over $50,000 that he managed to bring into the accounts this year and if the money went to the people that he claimed they were going to. Recently, DeCastro openly admitted that he has only paid a small portion of the $48,000 he had contracted an attorney to pay for the legal defense of Garrett Press with rancor, Van Nett, after Van Nett was found guilty of felony charges in Michigan. He has since apparently ended the friendship with Van Nett. Turning his attention to Christopher Direct D. Ruff, he said that Ruff was a piece of shit for turning on his fellow First Amendment auditors and spilling the tea on famous names. He said Ruff preached unity with those around him, but was too willing to attack everyone else involved in the First Amendment auditing community. Turning his attention to Fraud Wrangler, the angry vet said it was disgusting that people continue to contribute to Fraud Wrangler even after the man was exposed as stolen valor. Angry Vet called out the fans of Wrangler for backing him, knowing that all of his stories of service to the United States were falsehoods after Wrangler washed out of the military in boot camp. Despite the revelations about his background, Wrangler still pulls in around 200 people for his near-nightly broadcasts, along with tremendous financial gain from support of his fans. The angry vet spoke out against Wrangler and doesn't understand the phenomenon behind the acceptance of a known criminal and, while known for doing altruistic deeds such as helping hurricane victims in recent days, the Angry Vets Veterans Organization, Servicemen and Citizens for American Rights, does not appear in the list of registered 501c3 organizations as recognized by the Internal Revenue Service. The donations links provided by the organization go to a GoFundMe account set up by the Angry Vet, leaving more questions about the nature of his organization. He recently had a public falling out with YouTuber Annapolis Audits / Taco Terry over Terry's continued role in the organization.
Delete Laws doxes himself in first video on new channel. It was another spectacular blunder for Delete Law's Jose Chili DeCastro on Tuesday as he apparently doxed his new studio address in downtown Los Angeles in the first video posted to his First Amendment Auditor channel. The video featured DeCastro as he prepared his new studio. It focused on DeCastro setting up a Dana Dolly rig, which is used to slide a camera across 2 beams for uninterrupted filming of an extended area. DeCastro briefly discussed that the 30-plus foot area would be used to house his new timeline of criminal activity in the United States. Also briefly featured in the video is an area of the former furniture store that had been blocked off by curtains as a private apartment. A bed setup was briefly visible in a wide shot, and it appeared, much like with his former studios in New Mexico and Las Vegas, that DeCastro is residing in the commercial space in violation of local zoning laws. Fans were quick to match the unique windows of the building to an address that had been linked in various DeCastro-related forums over the summer after DeCastro apparently signed a one-year lease on the space. The space associated with the previously leaked address is rented out by Botac Management and is apparently classified as commercial space. It is unknown at this time if DeCastro has proper permits for filming in the building, let alone using the space as his residence. Living in commercial space is legal in some parts of Los Angeles provided that proper permits are filed. The City of Los Angeles has asked citizens who know of illegal occupation of buildings to contact the Los Angeles Department of Building and Safety to report their concerns. DeCastro's new channel launched as promised on Monday and can be found at First Amendment Auditor_2030 on YouTube. It currently has 140 subscribers and one featured video as of press time. In another promise kept, DeCastro's new TeenDLZ.com project launched his $6 a month membership level on Monday. Members of DeCastro's YouTube community had complained over the past week that DeCastro was charging as much as a dedicated streaming service for his new site, which apparently is devoid of significant content. His $5 proposed price point ballooned to $6 over the weekend before launch. DeCastro has stated that all of his plans available on TeenDLZ.com provide the same experience, with no special deals for anyone, including those who decide to pay for the $1,000 a month membership.
Telecline releases Glenn Serio 911 calls reporting her. Glenn Serio's favorite person, Telecline, released the 2911 phone call Serio made to Linwood, Washington, police last week to report Klein for apparently brandishing a weapon and stalking him. The incident, which resulted in no arrests or charges for anyone involved, happened after Klein defeated Serio in small claims court last week. Serio was walking with his father to his car when he spotted Klein walking outside of the courthouse. Serio, who towers over Klein by half a foot in height and at least an estimated 200 pounds in weight, started screaming that he was in fear of his life while calling 911 to report Klein. Serio's father, Glenn Serio Sr., left the scene and made it back to Serio's car without incident. In the 911 call, Serio admitted that there were no protection orders in place to prevent contact between him and Klein. He also admitted that he didn't actually see a weapon brandished by Klein, just that she was carrying a large purse and had reached into it repeatedly. Later, as Klein approached to go back inside the courthouse to speak to the sheriff, Serio told the dispatcher that Klein was holding something in her hand and demanded that the dispatcher send 20 armed police officers to the location immediately. Serio had accused Klein of leaking his identity to the internet by sharing his driver's license and social security information. The judge dismissed the case last week as Serio's printouts of various YouTube pages and an Experian flyer stating that his social security number could have been one of several million numbers breached in a hack was not enough evidence to prove his case against Klein. Since then, Discord user Touche has accepted Serio's previous challenge made to police officers and will allow Serio the opportunity to sweep her leg. If he is successful, she will give the sometime YouTuber $1,000 in cash for his efforts. A second offer of $500 towards the goal was recently posted in the comments area of our previous article on Touche. The identity of the poster or existence of the money has not been confirmed as of press time. Serio has yet to comment on either the 911 call or Touche's acceptance of his ongoing challenge. Long Island Audit visits correctional facility. Sean Paul, Long Island Audit Reyes released another pre-produced video of the YouTuber auditing a correctional facility, this time Hudson County Corrections and Rehabilitation Center in Hudson County, New Jersey. The video featured Reyes in his normal act within a police facility, openly recording officers while he approached the front desk. He asked for information on visiting hours and was referred to the visiting center in the next room. Upon entry to the room, Reyes was told that recording was not allowed in the building, and he went into his now standard challenge of policy versus law and that it was his constitutional right to film within the building. Reyes was asked to leave the area and went back into the lobby when facility officials closed off entry to the Welcome Center and would not allow him to re-enter. After skirmishes with several correctional officers, Reyes had an extended question-and-answer session with a lieutenant on scene, who gave Reyes details of the visitation process and hours of operation. Reyes, satisfied with his answers, went out to the parking lot, where he featured edited interactions with other members of security who were concerned about him filming the grounds. His new video brought a $50 donation to his Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption campaign, which won Sunday's GoFundMe activity. Other donations on Sunday included a $25 donation to Craig Hendry's ongoing campaign, $15 to Liberty Trolls, Support the Fight for Our Constitutional Rights Fund, and $10 to our own ongoing expenses campaign. Monday saw no donations to Reyes funds, with just a $20 donation to Craig Hendry's fund to win the day. With the latest activity, Reyes maintains his lead over everyone else currently active in the GoFundMe market. His fund Legal Defense Against Unlawful Arrest campaign stands at $16,351 out of a $20,000 goal. The Help LI with legal fees to fight Tyrant's lawsuit stands at $1,891 out of a $2,500 goal. His Help with Billboard Truck Purchase to Expose Tyranny campaign sits at $11,671 out of $20,000. Reyes' Help with Criminal Defense Attorney for this case fund has made $21,650 out of a $25,000 goal. The Support Freedom Stand Against Tyranny Together Fund has made $4,464 out of $10,000. His Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption Fund has made a staggering $51,723 out of a $55,000 goal. Finally, his Unlawful Arrest and Constitutional Rights Fund has made $2,423 out of a $10,000 goal. We still need your help. Despite the GoFundMe market being dead, this publication is funded by your donations, along with what little we make from our YouTube channel per month. While we did achieve full monetization on YouTube, we still need help to get through monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and the newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All donations literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos, like share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in. Masshole Discord server goes down, latest updates. Kate Peters' Masshole Discord server was reported down about 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time Wednesday night, with no updates provided to shock fans who want to visit their favorite Discord server only to find it down. As of press time, a little before 5 a.m. Eastern Time, we have no answers. The server went down, setting off a minor panic around the Discord community, as Peters' Masshole server was the starting point for most of the major First Amendment auditing Discord servers, some which have eclipsed Peters' reach in total membership and activity in recent days. Peters' insiders have no information on the subject and seem just as puzzled as the rest of us as to why the site vanished, as there's been no word from Peters herself. The most recent live stream about the Karen Reed murder case from last weekend was pulled almost immediately after completion, as Peters said that it may conflict with a project she was involved with that could not be revealed until next year. More troubling, the Masshole Report website listed in the About section of Peters' Masshole-related YouTube page, which is still up, now redirects to a porn site. It's unclear how long this has been the case, but the Masshole Report site remains unreachable as of press time. The Masshole-related YouTube page and Twitter account remain active without updates. Peters' Discord server was the starting point for both ReallyCoolNews as a newspaper and Auditing Insanity's daily newscast. The paper started as a news blurb in Peters' Chili Watch forums back when the forum was so busy that it resembled a dedicated YouTube side chat rather than a static Discord forum. Despite a generous offer from Peter to join her Masshole team, we decided to go with our existing news server as the home of the newspaper, with a lesser dedicated area on Masshole server. The history of Peters' Discord server has been steeped in chaos. With major splits with such personalities as Blue Bacon, Team Skeptic, and Irish Demon launching their own dedicated servers to focus on their own needs. While not what it once was, Peter's server still served as home for most fans of her ongoing conflicts with Jose, Chili DeCastro, and Turtle Boy Aiden Kearney. Peter's ongoing involvement in the Karen Reed murder trial over the past year had brought out concerns from long-term fans that her focus on the case would impact the community she worked so hard to build. With the community now apparently gone, those fans' concerns may have been justified. This is a developing story. Craig Hendry continues to profit from jail time. Jailed YouTuber Craig Hendry continues to profit from his recent bail revocation and jailing in Indiana as he brought in $109 in new donations to his GoFundMe campaign to win Tuesday's race for the title. Hendry has been helped by Jose Chili DeCastro's promotion of his GoFundMe and jail commissary account, turning what was a dead GoFundMe into a lucrative supply of new funding for the Indiana-based YouTuber. The activist has been in jail for nearly 2 weeks after having his bond revoked in a harassment case in Vermilion County, Indiana. Hendry spent time on his latest recorded commentary, his third released address since going to jail, critiquing the case and declaring that he'll be found innocent of the charges. In Hendry's version of the case, he was investigating the Clinton, Indiana, mayor for misdeeds, and 2 workers from the mayor's office retaliated against him by conspiring to file stalking charges in the case. He asked for his fans to attend his November 1st evidentiary hearing and his November 19, 2024, trial for the charges, going so far as to ask if Jose Chili DeCastro could be convinced to make an appearance in court. Updating his hunger strike, Hendry said that he hadn't eaten any of the food provided by the jail in the 13 days he had been locked up. Through his viewers, DeCastro and his family, he was able to come up with commissary funds and treated himself to a meal of cold rice and mackerel that he described as dog food. Unlike Christopher Denver Metro Audits Cordova, Hendry has had the backing of seasoned activist Jose Chili DeCastro since being taken into custody. DeCastro has extensive experience in promoting people who have been jailed and is able to direct his fans to fund the commissary accounts of the people he's helping. Cordova, who has been at odds with DeCastro for years now, lacks such an organized backing, which is reflected in his lack of donations when compared to Hendry, who is literally running roughshod over the GoFundMe marked with DeCastro's health. Tuesday's take saw $20 go to our own ongoing expenses account, but no other action in the market even as the market expanded yesterday with the addition of Jeremiah Payne's most recent GoFundMe campaign. Hendry took a step backwards on Wednesday, without an active source of promotion, and DeCastro focused on his own needs. Long Island Audits took the day with a $50 donation towards his Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption campaign and $20 towards his Support Freedom Against Tyranny Together campaign. We still need your help. Despite the GoFundMe market being dead, this publication is funded by your donations along with what little we make from our YouTube channel per month. While we did achieve full monetization on YouTube, we still need help to get through monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and the newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All donations literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos, like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in. James Freeman released new footage from the so-called Lexington takeover earlier this month featuring controversial police officer Scott Walters apparently hiding behind a door in a failed attempt to hide from Freeman's camera as Freeman was filming through a window. The incident happened earlier this month and was effective a siege of the Lexington, Mississippi, police station by Freeman, Guerrilla Publishing's Run Durbin, and others in an attempt to force Officer Walters to come out and face questioning by Durbin. Walters had arrested Durbin in early October following Durbin's attempt to video record inside a courthouse in Lexington. The Lexington takeover was Durbin's idea to take over the town with First Amendment auditors until such a time that the town council decided to fire Walters. The event itself was marked by low attendance, James Freeman being the only celebrity First Amendment auditor to show up at the event. General apathy of those who attended and confusion as what was going on in town. Durbin's attempt to expand the takeover to other towns resulted in an incident in Pearl, Mississippi, where Durbin was both arrested and suffered a heart-related incident while in police custody that resulted in his hospitalization. The event fell apart soon after, with Freeman leaving to drive another auditor home before the planned Wednesday events. Freeman's footage was a letdown to the auditor, in hindsight, as the siege of the police station did not result in what the Lexington takeover wanted, as Officer Walters was not fired by the town and would undergo retraining as a result of a complaint by Durbin. Worse yet, Durbin's longtime friendship with Auditor Sean Buckner apparently ended after a dispute between the men following Durbin's hospitalization. Buckner abandoned the Lexington takeover, stating fear of being arrested if he returned to the hospital where Durbin was recuperating at. While Freeman's take on the presented video was intended to show how powerful his group was as they converged on the police department in order to harass Walters, in the end, the group came off equally as juvenile as Walters did as he attempted to hide behind a door from Freeman's camera. More footage and lawsuits are promised by Freeman and Durbin as a result of the failed Lexington takeover.
Delete Los de Castro on self-doxing? Nope. After a day where Jose Chili de Castro apparently doxed the location of his new studio in the first video posted to his new First Amendment Auditor channel, the YouTuber completely ignored the controversy as he went live from the studio later in the evening. As usual, de Castro's Tuesday evening live stream focused on the evils of police and policing in America while completely ignoring both the self-doxing and the de Castro-themed live stream going on over at Christopher Direct D. Ruff's YouTube channel. De Castro spent part of the evening focusing on fundraising for Craig Hendry, who has been in the Vermilion County, Ohio, jail for the past 2 weeks after having his bond revoked. De Castro guided his fans through the process of sending money to Hendry's commissary account again and took donations on behalf of Hendry. The YouTuber took in $173 in super chats during the event, with some of that money earmarked for Hendry's defense. Addressing Hendry's invitation for de Castro to attend his November 19, 2024, trial for harassment charges in Indiana, de Castro said he was strongly considering going. He did express that he was very busy with his First Amendment Auditor launch, however, and wondered aloud if he'd have the time to make the trip. De Castro's announced rebranding as First Amendment Auditor has seen slow progress in the 3 days the channel has been active on YouTube. Despite de Castro's 623,000 subscribers on his main channel and constant mentioning of the new channel, subscribers to the new channel are stuck at 209 as of press time. Such low numbers to de Castro's free new YouTube channel also may be a warning sign for his paid TeamDLZ.com service. When de Castro appeared on Clash with Bao, he stated that within a week he'd see hundreds of paid sign-ups for his new service followed by thousands of sign-ups in quick succession after that. The total apathy from his fans towards the new channel, as roughly 0.032% of his subscribers from his main channel have signed up to the new channel, comes on the heels of his total disaster of a Patreon launch earlier in the month. Despite massive amounts of hype, de Castro was only able to convince 52 of his subscribers to sign up for the free version of his Patreon page, with 5 of those electing to pay the base $10 a month subscription to his page. De Castro has apparently abandoned Patreon and his paying subscribers, as there are only 13 posts on the site, the majority of which are recycled YouTube shorts that he is charging $10 per view to non-members. We will have a full update on de Castro's dire numbers along with full details of his attempt at a publicity stunt in Canyon Country, California in tomorrow's edition of Auditing Insanity. Direct D, Jared Reed, call out delete Los de Castro. Showing no fear of Jose Chili de Castro, 2 YouTubers have stepped up with differing challenges to the YouTuber as both Christopher Direct D Ruff and Juggernaut Jared Reed made videos devoted to the YouTuber. Starting with Ruff's 5-hour broadcast, the YouTuber devoted almost 3 hours to providing receipts to de Castro's recent claims that he has no victims and that no one could point to anyone that he's hurt. Ruff's response was playing old videos featuring controversies including DeCastro's real issues with Talib Kweli that got him kicked off of TikTok the first time. In that controversy, Benson asked Kweli to limit his thoughts on politics and racial discrimination to go back to the recording studio to make music. This was followed by DeCastro's time staying in Tina Slay's house, following the death of her son, Caleb. DirectD played most of Slay's appearance from 2022 on Kate Peters' Masshole Troll Mafia YouTube channel. Slay detailed that DeCastro essentially moved into her house for a week after saying he was just going to take a nap. Slay detailed the lies DeCastro told her, including his claims that hundreds of people would come to a demonstration for her son, when DeCastro only actually brought in one person to the event. The video was followed by San Joaquin Valley Transparency, who had an on-air argument with DeCastro. Ruff's attention span fizzled after about 3 hours. During that time, he clarified that he wouldn't be putting out a dedicated video on DeCastro's misdeeds, as what he presented would be enough to show DeCastro as victims. Separate from Ruff, YouTuber juggernaut Jared Reed also came out against DeCastro, going so far as to challenge DeCastro to a 10-minute wrestling match in a ring and not in a cage. The longtime YouTube and Discord user, known to many in the anti-auditing community, urged DeCastro to finally put up or shut up and go through with his challenges to others to take his disputes to a cage match, the mat, or to various other arenas. DeCastro has a long history of challenging those who he feels he can dominate to physical activities such as cage matches. However, the one time that someone accepted his challenge, Chad Legicator of the Ironton, Ohio, police force, and an event was scheduled, DeCastro suffered a knee injury and high blood pressure and was not allowed to take part in the scheduled mixed martial arts match. Since that cancelled incident, DeCastro has declared himself too old to compete with anyone physically. He's avoided making challenges and admits that he is out of shape and unable to compete with anyone in a fight. Because of this, it is unclear if DeCastro would ever consider taking part in the proposed event by Reed. Delete Laws begs for attention after doxing. In his first live since accidentally doxing himself on his previous released video to his new First Amendment Auditor channel, Jose Chili DeCastro marched between a Bank of America building and a Citibank building, attempting to provoke guards into contact with him as part of a First Amendment audit Wednesday afternoon. DeCastro announced that during the audit that he would be out more as part of his promotion of the First Amendment Auditor channel and his new teachings to justify what DeCastro used to classify as cop sucking as part of the First Amendment auditing process. In recent days, DeCastro has claimed that the only reason he was incarcerated earlier in the year was that Justice of the Peace Zimmerman looked at his behavior during his March 2023 arrest in Las Vegas and his behavior in the courtroom and judged him on that, rather than what he was charged with. DeCastro has promoted the idea of being nice to police officers on First Amendment audits and not to engage negatively with them as a way to win at trial should an auditor be arrested. The theory being that the judge would see that the auditor was not aggressive and complied with everything the officers asked on scene, and it would serve as a get-out-of-jail card. To many the theory sounds good, but the practice is anything but entertaining. DeCastro walking up and down the street, recording on his phone while remaining on the sidewalk. At one point DeCastro was apparently scared by a homeless man eating his lunch as he avoided the area of the man after briefly conversing with him. It was far from the fire and brimstone confrontations that DeCastro has been known for on his channel. With DeCastro openly complaining that it was shadow banning and not lack of controversy that only saw a handful of viewers join his livestream. The YouTuber used the time to promote his teachings on his new First Amendment Auditor YouTube channel and his new First Amendment Protection Agency concept. The first 2 videos in the Protection Agency series were released soon after the end of the live stream, featuring DeCastro's friends dressed in poorly fitting police outfits while complying with his teachings. DeCastro himself has gone as far as to attempt to trademark the term First Amendment Auditor for use with merchandise sales. In his application, he listed several hundred products he would soon be featuring for sale once the application was granted. At the end of the audit, DeCastro went into both banks and surprised employees by thanking them for not interrupting his audit. Representatives of both banks stared blankly and apparently had no idea of what he was talking about after receiving his handshake and thanks. Not mentioning his recent self-docs of his address to his YouTube fans, DeCastro promised he'd return with more teachings on Thursday. DirectD continues humiliation of delete laws. YouTuber Christopher DirectD Ruff continued his ongoing spat with activist and all-around swell guy Delete Law's Chili DeCastro on Wednesday and Thursday, with 2 new live streams looking at DeCastro's greatest hits. The two have been at odds for some time, with DeCastro most recently appearing on DirectD's program last weekend. DeCastro appeared briefly and demanded that Ruff produce receipts of all the people he's alleged to have wronged over the years. DeCastro was provoked by Ruff into rage quitting and then went to appear on Clash with Bow's program, essentially giving a 1-hour monologue on his personal greatness and what an asset he was to the community. Ruff has devoted portions of his nightly live streams all week to featuring negative videos featuring DeCastro. On Wednesday, he continued the series with an extended conversation from 2023 between James Freeman and DeCastro. The video was prompted as DeCastro stumbled into one of Freeman's broadcasts that was devoted to trolling him on DeCastro Fake News Network comedy channel and became confused about the nature of the broadcast. Freeman ultimately confronted DeCastro's belief that government can solve everything, stating that DeCastro was giving false hope to people and playing off of their hopes that someone can change the system when in Freeman's belief, the system shouldn't exist in the first place. DeCastro's belief that police being forced to wear 360-degree cameras that were on 24/7 came under fire as Freeman pointed out that most police had body cameras, and we couldn't get the footage from them. DeCastro defended the idea, saying that he could change the system and force the police to do his bidding. Following the extended discussion, Freeman and DeCastro had an extended beef for the past year. While DeCastro said he recently came to terms with Freeman while he was incarcerated in the Clark County, Nevada, detention center, Freeman made comments in DirectD's side chat Wednesday night that questioned DeCastro's state of their interactions. Thursday's livestream was more of the same, featuring a Clash with Bow video where Bow wanted to be DeCastro's campaign manager in his eventual campaign for governor in an unnamed state. Ruff also featured the second of 2 videos from Gunner TV, who covered DeCastro and the world of First Amendment auditors back in 2023. DeCastro had been provoked by Gunner TV's first video, responding over 50 times to the video in the comments section, threatening lawsuits and raging before strangely deleting his comments and thanking Gunner TV for the exposure. DeCastro's series of bad days continued on Thursday, though he had a minor victory to start the day as former nemesis Kate Peters' Discord server, home of the Chili Watch/Chili DeCastro fan club forum, went offline under mysterious circumstances. The forum had been a bane of DeCastro's existence in 2022 and was named in both his dismissed federal civil rights lawsuit against Peter and his current California Superior Court lawsuit against Peter and others. While it is currently being at least temporarily housed on our Really Cool Newswire Discord server until such a time as Masshole returns, none of the past history was able to be saved before the server went down. DeCastro didn't take advantage of this small victory as he did not live stream on Thursday. His new First Amendment Auditor channel has been live since Monday and was heavily promoted to his 623,000 subscribers on his main YouTube channel but has yet to hit 500 subscribers as of press time, holding firm at 318 subscribers for the week. His Patreon remains at 52 total members, with 5 of those paying members. Details for his new TeamDLZ.com are not known at this time, though based on the performance of both of his other launches, we do not have high hopes for the site being a roaring success. We will continue to monitor the situation between Ruff and DeCastro and provide updates to DeCastro's post-launch troubles in tomorrow's edition of Auditing Insanity.
Freeman fumbles again in appeals court ruling. Thursday saw another unforced error on the part of YouTuber James Freeman as an appeals court rejected his appeal of an order by the lower court as it found it had no jurisdiction to rule on anything as Freeman did not wait to file his appeal in accordance with the rules of the court. Freeman's lawsuit against New Mexico's 7th District Court was dismissed back in May, with the court giving Freeman a 14-day window to amend his complaint for a third time, with a focus on seeking declaratory relief against Chief Judge Mercedes Murphy of the 7th District Court in her official capacity. Instead of waiting 14 days for the order to become final and waiting for the ability to appeal or standing on his pleading, Freeman immediately appealed to the Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit. The appeals court asked both sides to explain their positions as to why or why not the court had jurisdiction to hear Freeman's appeal, since his appeal lacked the conditions to qualify for an appeal to the appeals court. In the ruling, the court sided with the defense and found that they lacked the jurisdiction to hear the case. Simply put, the fact that the matter was not resolved by Freeman waiting for the verdict to be final eliminated the court's ability to actually act on that verdict. The appeal now goes back to the lower court to either confirm the dismissal of the case or again allow Freeman the opportunity to amend as again. Once the ruling is final, Freeman would theoretically have the ability to appeal again. Freeman has been suing New Mexico's 7th District Court for the better part of the past 2 years after several issues where Freeman was found to have disrupted court proceedings and harassed staff members within the 7th District Court's facilities. The YouTuber was effectively banned from the facilities in the entire 7th District Court unless he was escorted by a member of police. After nearly a half-dozen individual protests against the ruling, Freeman sued everyone who had anything to do with the 7th District. Freeman argued that the punishment for his disruption violated his Fifth Amendment rights and essentially made fun of the rulings in continued protests at facilities in the 7th District where he walked around empty security desks to find a sheriff to take him back through the buildings to the records area. The ruling essentially is yet another unforced error on Freeman's part during the lawsuit. From early questions of jurisdiction and proper service to using an attorney more associated with farm regulations than First Amendment questions, Freeman's errors have highlighted a case that has essentially tread water for close to 2 years now. We will update the story with the final decision from the lower court. Jeremiah Payne says that his music is real. LDOF auditor Jeremiah Payne surprised everyone with a rare return to live streaming on Wednesday, addressing critics of his recent foray into music production and by revoking his endorsement of former President Donald Trump. Payne greeted his friends and said he had been home from work for an hour before he started streaming and was immediately met with a wave of trolls who disrupted his side chat. Immediately defensive, Payne started ranting about stupid-ass people in his side chat. He quickly turned to not wanting a drama chat and launched into a defense of the upcoming album that he claims he is producing. Payne said that despite claims by the trolls that his music was AI-generated, it was anything but. Though it has now been delayed from a tomorrow release to a soon release as all the songs haven't been mastered yet. He showed off a workstation with 2 monitors and confirmed that he was working on editing from his apartment, the same area featured on a previously posted tour of his apartment, and again promised that his non-AI-generated music would be dropping soon. Turning his attention to current affairs, Payne revoked his previous backing of Donald Trump as he claimed that the former president wants to give the police absolute immunity should he return to power. He also commented on the P. Diddy situation, observing that the government's refusal to give P. Diddy freedom when he was willing to put up a $50 million bond says something dire about the charges against him. Finally, Payne began to watch videos of police officers behaving badly and apparently got triggered towards the end of stream. He excused himself, went to a countdown, said next to nothing for the next few minutes, and the feed cut out. Payne's return to live streaming did nothing to help his GoFundMe out, which has been stuck at $80 out of a $7,000 goal for 8 months now. Long Island Audits took the day with a $25 donation to his Support Freedom Stand Against Tyranny Together campaign. Our ongoing expenses campaign came in second with a $20 donation. YouTube listeners, please note that the text version of the daily GoFundMe article features documentation of all the campaigns we are currently following. If you know about a campaign from an auditor that you'd like to see added to the list, please respond to a GoFundMe tracking video with the URL and the name of the auditor. While we're not about promoting campaigns except our own, we will include most submissions in our daily performance charts along with a monthly list of URLs that we're following in the text version of the GoFundMe tracking articles. We still need your help. Despite the GoFundMe market being dead, this publication is funded by your donations along with what little we make from our YouTube channel per month. While we did achieve full monetization on YouTube, we still need help to get through monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and a newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All donations literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos, like share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in.
Delete Laws responds to motion for judgment. Attorney Michael Mee, representing Jose Chili de Castro, attempted to rebut the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's second motion for summary judgment in a new filing in the case on Friday. Mee's motion essentially argues that the officers involved in the arrest of de Castro should be held liable for searching de Castro after arrest, as the arrest was illegal and the search was retaliatory. He also argues that the police do not have discretionary immunity for the arrest, as the court has already found that a reasonable jury could find that the arrest itself was unwarranted, as found by the state court overturning the charges upon appeal. As previously noted, despite the outcome of the motion for summary judgment, this lawsuit is still going to go forward on the following grounds. 42 U.S.C. Section 1983 Fourth Amendment excessive force and excessive force claim against Officers Bork and Sandoval based upon Nevada Constitution. 42 U.S.C. Section 1983 First Amendment chilling claim and free speech violation claim, and a claim based upon Nevada Constitution against Officer Bork and Sergeant Torrey. 42 U.S.C. Section 1983 First Amendment retaliation claim and free speech violation claim based upon Nevada Constitution against Officer Bork and Sergeant Torrey. 42 U.S.C. Section 1983 selective enforcement and unequal police action claim against OFC Bork and Sergeant Torrey as to theory of selective arrest based upon exercise of constitutional rights. 42 U.S.C. Section 1983 selective enforcement and unequal police action claim for OFC Bork and Sergeant Torrey as to theory of selective arrest based upon exercise of constitutional rights. Nevada state law battery claim as to OFC Bork and OFC Sandoval. De Castro ignored the filing in his Friday night live stream, instead focusing on more videos of police officers behaving badly and on his rebranding to First Amendment Auditor and his launch of TeamDLZ.com. The activist promised uncensored reaction videos to what he was displaying on the live stream over on TeamDLZ.com as part of the paid memberships. He said that the videos on the site featured his extreme slowed-down analysis of the wounds suspects suffered during the arrest, along with his expert analysis of the torture they suffered while in handcuffs. De Castro's Patreon account picked up no new memberships on Friday, remaining at 52 overall members and 5 paid members. His new First Amendment Auditor YouTube channel now is up to 361 members as of press time. He took in $106 in super chats during the live stream.
Crime pays. Hendry wins GoFundMe for October. Craig Hendry's association with Delete Laws Jose Chili de Castro paid off in October, as the jailed YouTuber, activist, and sometime chemical dealer took the individual top spot with $389 in donations to his GoFundMe. Hendry has been jailed since mid-October after having his bond revoked in a felony harassment case after picking up new, unrelated charges. His case has been mentioned by de Castro multiple times, which corresponds to major direct donations to Hendry's GoFundMe campaign. De Castro is also taking direct donations that he says he is distributing to Hendry's commissary account at the jail after Hendry had been on a hunger strike for the first 2 weeks of incarceration. Hendry expressed the belief that the food was being poisoned by the jail in order to eliminate him before his upcoming trial. While Hendry took the singles crown for the month, the overall crown went to Sean Paul, Long Island Audits Reyes, who pulled in a combined $423 over 3 campaigns. Second on the individual list is our own ongoing expenses campaign with a $230 take for the month, down almost 50% from September. A close third is Reyes' Support Freedom Stand Against Tyranny Together Fund, which took in $228 for the month. Next up is newcomer Liberty Troll, whose incarceration helped him bring in $185 for the month. This is followed by Reyes' Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption Fund at $160 for the month. Christopher Direct D Ruff's help Direct D clear his name fund is up next with a $100 take. Reyes' third campaign on the list, his unlawful arrest and constitutional rights fund, took in $35. Finally, Christopher Denver Metro audits, Cordova took in $20 for the month. Cordova's failure is strange as despite being jailed and having Direct D campaign for him, Cordova only managed to pull in 2 donations of $10 for the entire month. This may be due to his extreme unpopularity or the fact that Direct D only half-heartedly campaigned for him, but it's a huge downer when compared to the others who were incarcerated in October. Notable in his absence is Jose Chili De Castro, who suspended all of his GoFundMe accounts in September. De Castro is taking direct funding towards his Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal accounts as a replacement for the direct campaigns. Hendry came in second for Friday itself, with a $20 donation, but fell to our own ongoing expenses campaign, which took in $50. We still need your help. Despite the GoFundMe market being dead, this publication is funded by your donations along with what little we make from our YouTube channel per month. While we did achieve full monetization on YouTube, we still need help to get through monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and the newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All donations literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos, like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in. Direct D cleared a probation violation. A victorious Christopher Direct D Ruff went live on Friday with news that he was able to correct a mistake by the state of Arizona and have a warrant for his arrest quashed for a probation violation from a 2021 arrest in which Ruff did not receive probation. Confused? So was the state of Arizona. Ruff was originally arrested for 3 felony counts of aggravated assault on a police officer and 1 felony count of resisting arrest back in 2021 after he was arrested while recording officers with other auditors. He was able to have the charges reduced to a single misdemeanor count, and he agreed to 40 hours of community service without probation. As he stated, he agreed to the reduced charge as his partner was pregnant with their second child, and he wanted to have the case behind him to focus on his new child. Somewhere in the verification of his community service, someone also assigned probation to Ruff. The probation was for a term of 3 years and was unsupervised. A 2023 review of his probation saw that Ruff had never reported in, and a warrant for his arrest was issued. Ruff discovered the warrant when he was doing a warrant check on himself 2 weeks ago. It was news to him as he never agreed to probation, nor was he assigned to a probation officer or had his initial meetings with anyone from the department. The YouTuber contacted a lawyer friend upon finding the new warrant and immediately had the friend file a motion to quash the warrant and end the mystery probation. After a hearing, the warrant was quashed and probation was removed this week. Speculation from everyone involved was that his was a screw-up on the part of the probation department, as they had never had a case where they needed to verify community service hours for someone who was not on probation. Seeing the lack of probation, it was just added in the paperwork without informing Ruff. Ruff noted that he still had 5 other active warrants in Arizona, but unlike others, he was able to get the mistaken probation resolved and the warrant terminated in a 2-week period without fuss, fundraising, or drama. The original live stream featuring Ruff's announcement was briefly down for apparent editing early Saturday morning. It is unclear what changed while it had been unable to view on YouTube for roughly an hour. Craig Hendry addresses his latest court drama. Citizen journalist and political prisoner Craig Hendry gave a muddled report from jail on Friday about his own evidentiary hearing and motion for direction in a Vermilion County, Indiana, courtroom. Hendry started with an accusation that because he and his cameraman observed 4 to 5 police officers in the lobby of the building and a different 4 to 5, maybe a dozen total, police officers stationed in the courtroom, that the state was purposely and willingly attempting to intimidate Hendry. The YouTuber, who has been incarcerated for over 2 weeks after having his bail revoked, pledged that he would not stand down from his fight for freedom and could not be intimidated by the police presence. Turning to the hearing, Hendry mentioned that the prosecution wanted to bring up his past convictions and introduce his criminal history at trial. Hendry said this would paint him in the worst light, as the prosecution would then be able to introduce his convictions of drug dealing, driving while under the influence, and for domestic abuse. The domestic abuse charge was strange at best, as Hendry said that the charge was no one's business but his and his current girlfriend's, and that they had worked it out between them. He made a point of claiming that the girlfriend did not press charges and that the state was forced to press charges based on the law. For the DUI and drug dealing charges, Hendry again glossed them over as being marijuana-related. While marijuana dealing and driving while under the influence are still crimes in the state, Hendry again seemed to indicate that they were low-level crimes and should have no bearing on his current stalking charges. Hendry did not, as a citizen journalist, reveal if his past criminal history would be presented at trial. Instead, he rallied against the judge apparently deciding to keep his no-bond status in place. Hendry argued that the Indiana state constitution guarantees bond to every prisoner. While he could not back it up with case law, he did cite cherry-picked statutes that indicated that he was being held in jail illegally as he determined himself not a flight risk, as he showed up to every hearing dressed nicely and clean-shaven. He again claimed that his lack of bond was a punitive measure, stating that the state was seeking to punish him by keeping him in jail until his November 19, 2024 trial. Addressing the special consideration motion, Hendry explained it as the state bringing up his jail addresses being played on YouTube. He claimed that the judge admonished the prosecution for seeking copies of the videos from Hendry and his cameraman, as all calls are already recorded by the jail and could be accessed by the state. Hendry took a tone indicating that the state would be working against he and his followers at his trail in late November. He warned his fans that if they were to come, the state may limit seating, and he wanted his fans to assure reserved seating for his wife and his girlfriend should that happen. Hendry got some good news on Friday, as his association with Jose Chili DeCastro has paid off as donations to his GoFundMe, as briefly promoted by DeCastro, have resulted in $389 in donations for the month to take the individual win for October.